Have you ever wanted one shoe that could do it all? Well, you might have just found it. My name is Eric. My brother Chris and I are the sons of Sever, and today we're talking about Turriff functional footwear. These are easily the most interesting shoes we've gotten on our feet. They're built in a super unique way, and they're meant to do everything. So we've been wearing them in a ton of different situations, and today we're gonna talk about all the things we like and don't like about them. There's timestamps in the description if you wanna jump around, but I'm gonna send it over to Chris to get you started with his likes.
The first like that I want to bring up for the Turriff anatomical shoes is going to be the toe box. As the name suggests, these things are very anatomically shaped. I'm a huge fan of how my foot fits the toe box. Some people are going to say that it's a little too rounded, maybe it looks a little bit clownish. We get that comment a lot when it comes to shoes that are actually foot shaped. So personally, I don't mind that comment. Usually it means that the company who makes the shoe is doing their job, making sure that there's plenty of room for most people's toes in this toe box, and I will say it's one of my favorite toe boxes that we have worked with.
Okay, so when it comes to my first like with the Turriff functional footwear, the first thing I like about it is just the very interesting way that this thing has been constructed. So they use more heritage methods, which means durability, which means repairability. Those are things that we really like about it, but it's just so unique the way that they did this. So if you look at the toe box, you can see that they use stitch down construction just on the toe box, and then it drops off right there and becomes a Blake stitch through the midfoot and the heel. So I've never seen a shoe like that before. I think it's a really cool feature to it. It's just a unique and an innovative way to construct this shoe. Some other cool features, it has a gusseted tongue. Now that's gonna help a little bit with water resistance, but mostly I think on a hike like I am on right now, where it's gonna help keep out dirt and small pebbles and things like that. This is resolable, so once this outsole has worn its life, then you can go to a cobbler, peel it off, get another one replaced on there. So that's always a nice feature that we like too. Chris will mention this too, but the toe box of the shoe has a slightly different insole than the heel does. So about halfway through the midfoot there's this little pad that's been sewn in. So there's this little bit of a transition from the leather insole that is where your toes are to the padded insole that's where your heel is. Another interesting, innovative feature to this shoe. It has a lot of cool quirks about it, and I really like that.
For my next like, I want to focus on the other Barefoot features that these shoes have. They are zero drop. I already talked about the wide toe box, and they are pretty flexible, especially once they break in. Honestly, they're pretty flexible and comfortable right out of the box for the most part, but a little bit of break-in in these goes a really, really long way. So I think that they have struck a really good balance of ruggedness with the materials, as well as barefootedness when it comes to the need for thinness and flexibility, as you will see here, as I'm doing a little log walk over some water. Obviously, balance is gonna be important there, but no issues because of the barefoot features of this shoe. I have really good balance and proprioception overall in my feet.
All right, the next thing I really like about this shoe is the outsole that it has. So it's a Vibram Mega Grip outsole, so you know it's gonna do a good job in a bunch of different situations. But I really like the lug pattern that it has. It's just an easy triangle pattern. We've found those to be super effective. It does really well casually too. I think this is what provides a lot of versatility to the shoe, is this outsole. It doesn't look too out of place in other settings when you're off the trail because of the way that those lugs are patterned and the way that they're not too deep.
The last like that I want to bring up here is the very interesting versatile feature set that this shoe has overall. It's very different from any other shoe that we've ever reviewed. So the first thing that I want to mention is taking this thing off. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Hopefully I can get some close-ups, but there is a point at which this insole transitions from a like soft, squishy leather insole. About midway through the shoe, it transitions to a more hard and firm traditional leather insole. So that's been really interesting because you kind of get comfort towards the back with your heel, and then you get the molding of the leather insole towards the front for the comfort of your toes. The next thing from there is the fact that these things can and do slip on and off. He includes them with a pair of bungee laces right out the gates, and they were slip on and off from the beginning. I didn't have to mess with the tightness of them at all. The other thing that's really interesting is how water resistant these things are. They do not have a membrane of any kind, but I can stand pretty well in the water here, obviously not fully submerging the shoe. and they do a really good job at keeping water out. I played around in the waterfall that's up towards the top of this trail for a while, and I was in and out of the water, obviously, again, not submerging them all the way, but letting the water go up pretty high, and this didn't have any issues keeping the water out. I have no wetness in my feet at all. So because of the way it looks, the fact that I could totally wear it to church, and I have, because it has this very formal look to it, but then it also has that water resistance. It can slip on and off. It's got that interesting insole. I actually really like all of these things about it. It's just a really weird balance for a shoe.
Okay, so one last like from me, and that is the material that they used to build these shoes. Now, it's already a robust construction, but then you pair that with the Vibram Mega Grip outsole that it has, along with the oiled leather that Chris has, the suede that I've got, and it's just a really good, durable product. Now, I think you're gonna pay a premium price for that, but I think you're getting premium quality along with that premium price tag. All right, before moving on to our dislikes, we did want to mention some affiliates that we have going on with the channel right now. A new one for us because of today's video is Turriff Functional Footwear. So if these have piqued your interest at all, there's a link in the description of the video. That'll take you to their website, and using those links really helps the channel out. If that results in a purchase, we get a small commission from that, and it helps us to get more gear in our hands and get more industry experience and get better reviews out to you. Another affiliate is another product that I am using right now, and that is from Anvil. If you don't know his YouTube channel, he cuts shoes in half and really gets into the build quality of them. But he has a shop that sells leather goods and boot gear. So I have a boot breaker insole that I'm using in my Turriff shoes right now. And I'm gonna tell you why I did that in the dislikes of this video. And now let's get over to the dislikes.
For my dislikes, I'm going to pinpoint one specific thing with the shoe that I don't like that it does, and it's that when I'm bending at the toes, so just taking a normal step and your toes bend, the toe cap on this thing kind of folds inwards towards my toes, and I can feel it kind of pressing down on the tops of my toes. It's not uncomfortable, it's just noticeable, and it's not something I've ever experienced with a shoe. So I don't know if that's a construction issue or what the deal is there, but I'm not a huge fan of that. The other thing is just gonna be the weird balance. Even though that's something that I liked, I like the weird versatility balance that this shoe has. It's also something that's just kind of odd and off-putting about it overall, if I'm being honest. The fact that I can wear this thing to church, and then I can technically trail run in it, and I can hike in it, and I can get a little bit wet without worrying about my feet getting soaked. Like, that's a really weird balance that you just don't find in a shoe, and I'm not sure I like it. If I had a more sporty hiking, trail running shoe that could also double as a formal shoe in that direction, that would be one thing, but this one goes in the opposite direction where it's more formal and nice looking on the outside, but then somehow it can do all those performance things. So again, I don't know if this is necessarily a dislike, it's just something that's a little bit off-putting for me when it comes to this shoe.
Okay, so let's talk my dislikes of this shoe. The first one is that transition in the footbed with the insoles. Now, where that transition happens, I could just feel that under my foot, and I didn't like that. I fixed that by putting in a Anvil boot breaker insole. Not sure if the light is showing that to you right there, but that completely fixed that issue. So that's definitely one thing to keep in mind. The other thing is really just the look of the shoe. It's very interesting. I think the two-tone colorway looks a little bit worse than the one that Chris has. I really like the way that Chris's looks actually with that nice brown oiled leather. One thing that I really didn't like about the aesthetics of it was the laces that came with it. I love that they are slip-on and that they're super durable, but I did not like how much extra material they had, and so I actually cut mine and used this little thing that I got from our Birchbury shoes. They had some extra pieces that they sent, and I think that that improved the look a ton. So there definitely are ways to fix it. I would go with Chris's model given the choice, and then I would do this with the laces again, and then I think it would be a really good looking shoe. There's also one thing that happened on this hike. So I hadn't taken it on anything that had a lot of hills until today, and this heel is actually really stiff, and I don't think I've given it the proper break-in period to tackle a hike like this one. And so I have actually gotten a blister on my left heel. So definitely know that this is a pretty stiff heel. It needs some break-in before you're gonna do any elevation gain with it, and then I think that you'll be just fine.
Getting into my final opinion on the Turriff anatomical outdoor shoes. Would I recommend these to somebody who is looking for a do-it-all outdoorsy shoe? I think that I would. That decision is really gonna pivot on one thing, and that's if you care about how it looks when you're doing outdoorsy things. Because in my opinion, in a business setting, in a church setting, in some of those semi-formal business casual kind of settings, I think these things fit right in. No one's going to look sideways at them, except maybe if they're looking closely at how wide the toe box is. But if you go out in the mountains like I am today, if you go trail running in these things, you might get some sideways looks because of the way that they look. Now, the question comes down to whether or not you care about those sideways looks. Personally, I do not. I look purely at the function of a shoe, and then man, is it a bonus if that shoe is versatile. And these things are super versatile. You can trail run in them. You could weightlift in them if you absolutely want to. You can hike in them. You can just muck it up in the woods in these things, get them a little bit wet. It's not going to be an issue. And then you could totally clean them up and wear them to church the next day. And in my opinion, that is a super, super cool balance. So if you're interested in checking them out, make sure to head over to their website and give them a look.
All right, it's getting pretty hot out here. I'm gonna take a break here in the shade to give you my final opinion of the Turriff functional footwear. Would I recommend this for other people? And I do think that it depends. Now, if you're looking for an extremely versatile and extremely robust shoe, then I think this fits the bill. So I love the construction method. It's more heritage style. You've got the stitch down on the toe box. You've got a Blake stitch through the rest of it. It's got a gusseted tongue. Really cool features to this shoe, but there definitely are some areas that I think could improve. I think that the transition in the footbed is a little bit weird and my foot notices it, and I fixed that with an insole. This heel is also really stiff. You're gonna have to break this in before you take it out on your outdoor adventures, especially if there is elevation gain like I had today on my hike, because I did start getting a blister. Aesthetically, I think this thing could take an update as well. I think I fixed a lot of that by modifying the laces the way that I did, because that extra hanging piece just wasn't very attractive to the eye. Those barefoot features definitely are there, and so if that's something really important to you, then you've got your bases covered with the Turriff shoes, because this toe box is extra wide and it is zero drop. It is fairly thin for the style of shoe that it is when you compare it to other shoes that have been constructed in the same way. And that flexibility is starting to show up as the shoe breaks in. If you want something that's built really well, that's gonna last a long time, has great barefoot features, and can do a lot of things, then I think that these shoes fit the bill for that.
Folks, if you like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. All those things really help the channel out. If you're interested in any of the products that we talked about in this video, there will be links to them down in the description. If we have discount codes for any of those companies, they will be featured with the links. If you want to get more content from us, there are 3 different places you can get it. The first one is Patreon, where for $1 a month, you can get exclusive behind-the-scenes content we don't post anywhere else. If you want to be most up to date with what we are working on, make sure to follow us on Instagram, where we are constantly posting unboxing videos. Go follow us on Strava if you're interested in seeing mini reviews in real time of the products we're using and what we're using them for. Strava allows you to track and post about your different activities. We track and post about our runs, trail runs, hikes, paddleboarding, and weightlifting, and we do little mini reviews on the products we're using during those activities. Go follow us there, and we will follow you back. We appreciate your view, and as always, we will catch you in the mountains.